You're going to have to stop being a loser. That's what the Jaguars are known as right now. They are known as the losers. Find a way to win.
I like it. Speaking of losers, the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday afternoon. Oh, man, Evan, it's time for your therapy session. Let it out, my friend. They don't beat the Chiefs again on Sunday afternoon. Grant Cohn had this to say, quote, Jimmy Garoppolo has a lower QBR this season than Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Cooper Rush, Marcus Mariota, Jacoby Brissett, Jared Goff, Andy Dalton, and Mitch Trubisky. Is this rock bottom for the Niners right now, in this offense especially?
Unfortunately not. I think rock bottom might be a nice little wake-up call, but the reality is the NFC is still completely wide open. There's so many 3-3 teams right now. It's absurd. And they've got a reasonable schedule ahead of them. But the thing that I will say is this: at the very top of the list, they are still the most injured team in the NFL. Today, the injury report added Juice will be out a couple weeks with a broken finger. He had surgery on that finger. Debo has a hamstring injury. These are people that were going into that game healthy. So we're just adding to the list of people that were injured in the first, or that weren't, it's just never ending. The one thing that I will say, as much as Grant loves his, one-liners and his psychosis inducing stuff, Jimmy legitimately has looked the best version of himself this season. I think it's so polarizing, right? Because he's had probably some of the worst plays, most insanely boneheaded, like how on earth could you possibly do that plays? But by and large, he's made throws that people thought he couldn't make. He's been destroying the middle of the field. He's at times looked incredibly serviceable, which, like, to me, the Jimmy that I'm seeing play this season is significantly better than the 2019 version of Jimmy. He looks healthier. He's got more zip in his passes. He's making throws that people said straight up he can't make, right? So, the issue that I have right now is, you look at the teams like the Jaguars, right? And you go, they don't have the talent, right? They've got an incredible quarterback, but they're just not there yet. They're probably a year or two away, and that's fine, because when you get 2 number 1 overall picks 2 years in a row, that probably tells you where that team should be, right? But the thing is, for me, you look at the Seahawks, you look at the Giants, these are teams that are winning in spite of their roster, right? And it feels like it's the inverse with the 49ers, where they've got all these incredible talents. I mean, like, let me just say it now so we can get it over with. Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel, Fred Warner, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, like, it's insane. Kyle Juszczyk, like, those are all, I've just named people that are considered to be the best at their position, period. All on the same team. And yes, there's injuries. Eric Armstead's out. Javon Kinlaw, that's the middle of the defensive line. They're out, right?
I'm playing corner for the Falcons next week.
Right, I get it. But, like, in spite of that, they're losing, right? And I feel like this is a team. I said it, earlier today, and I said at the end of the day, like yesterday, I was like, I look around the NFL right now and I see a lot of teams that are doing more with less. And I just feel like the 49ers are doing less with more. And it's really frustrating to be a 49ers fan and watch the Seahawks win with Geno Smith, who, by the way, Geno Smith might be the only way that I could ever root for a Seahawks quarterback. I love Geno. I'm happy he's playing well. But,
we got some more Geno we got to hit on in a little bit, but yeah.
But that team is supposed to be bad right now. But like Pete Carroll always does, he makes these kids and, these men and these, feel scrappy, like their backs against the wall. No one believes in you guys. Go out there and prove it. Every year he gets them going. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, Kyle is supposed to be one of the best coaches in the NFL. It's there on film. These players are open. The players are getting open, but it's still, like, you look at the numbers and it's like the first quarter, they have like 110 QBR rating, right? They're scoring. They're just destroying teams. Every 49ers game, if you go back and watch the film, the beginning of the game, the first drive, they look like they're lightning in a bottle, unstoppable. The first drive of this game, I was like, we're going to the Super Bowl because Christian McCaffrey.
This is me every week with Tennessee for the last 2 years, by
like,
the way, with the Josh Heupel offense. Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey comes in. He's had 4 days at best of like 2 days even of learning the playbook. Christian McCaffrey is the old Christian McCaffrey. He's breaking tackles. He's falling down and getting a first down every time. And it's just like, oh, we have this on top. George Kittle was catching the ball, right? National Tight End Day. We haven't been able to get him the ball. Finally, he's doing it, right? Brandon Ayuk every week is looking like a true wide receiver 1. And I'm like, it's here, finally, right? And then what happens? The one constant that the 49ers have had all year, their defense has looked incredible. They go out, and it is Patrick Mahomes, it is Andy Reid, but they go out and have maybe the worst defensive game I've seen under the Kyle Shanahan-led 49ers. I have never seen more missed tackles. Again, they had 10 penalties for 90 whatever yards. They're one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. Like, Kyle Shanahan has absolutely no discipline going right now. So it's like, do I think that the end of the season is here? No, unfortunately not. I think like 2019 or like last year, we're going to think that the world is falling down until they, get a little momentum and start to realize that they've got some of the best players in the NFL all on one team. They're going to win a bunch of games. We'll probably end up with 10 wins. They'll go into the playoffs, and who knows what will happen there. But like, the team needs to figure out the discipline stuff, the missed tackles, the penalties. It's insane. And I want off this ride so badly. Like, one of the most cathartic feelings on earth when Trey Lance was starting was that, good or bad, whatever happened with the Trey Lance experience, we would be removed from this Jimmy Garoppolo versus Kyle Shanahan, nothing works, but everything works, like roller coaster ride. And when Trey got injured, I was like, we're cursed again with one more year of this, of people constantly arguing about Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, like, dog, Jimmy's probably having the best season he's had ever as a quarterback. But of course, as God willing, he's had some of the most bonehead mistakes I've ever seen a quarterback make, so that, like, you can't even appreciate the good. All anybody wants to talk about is get this man off my team. And he's the backup quarterback. I'm in a nightmare and I can't get out.
Oh, that was great. That was that felt really good. JP, I think I don't know where to go from there. That was good. Do you have the same takes on the Niners? Can you offer any hope for Evan's 49ers?
So what I will say was, how they have complete team wins where like they win in all 3 phases? It was a complete loss for the 49ers. All three didn't look bad, didn't look good at all. The one solace was Christian McCaffrey looked great. That you can take pride in that. But I think the Jimmy G thing is really interesting because Jimmy G is 2 different quarterbacks. There's Jimmy G, and then there's Jimmy G against the blitz. He immediately shuts off against the blitz. I think the interception they threw in the end zone, they blitzed him, and he's just sitting there. He knows that the blitz is there, and he's just drifting backwards. He's drifting back further and further and further until he throws up a rainbow ball that ends up 2 yards short of the end zone. So you're just like, dude, you see it coming. You see it here. Why are you not throwing it away? What's going on? Like, I feel like the inside of, like, Jimmy G's internal clock, like the inside of his brain against the blitz is like the little Sonic thing where like Sonic is underwater and it's like it's that with Jimmy G. It's like the clock is ringing, the bell is ringing, it's time to go. It's time to go.
Have some of the most clutch, like, throwing it into the like tightest window passes I've ever seen in my life. Like, he's like, it doesn't make that pass. The interception was supposed to be to George Kittle. Watch the play. The ball was nowhere near George Kittle. Ray McLeod, who, by the way, as a receiver, shouldn't even be on the field. He should only be returning kicks. Ray literally didn't even jump up because he thought there was no world in which that ball was going to him. And guess what? It wasn't, because it went to the defender.
And it's so weird because, like you said, like when the book is open for Jimmy G, when Kyle Shanahan says, okay, you throw it here, or here, Jimmy G can do that. He can execute the controls. He's like a robot. He knows if the processing, if my iOS says throw it here, he'll do that. Yep. But when it's time to improvise, it doesn't compute for him. It's not going. So I think that's just what Jimmy G is. That's who Jimmy G is. I think the Niners know that by now, and now it's just how are we going to help him the best way that we can. And I think having Christian McCaffrey will help you do that. Like I said, Christian McCaffrey looked great, and I think the offense probably won't be as bad as it was on Sunday.
They didn't even throw screens.
They basically just said, hey, go over there and I'll throw it to you. Like, run in that area. He didn't know the offense, and he still had a lot of burst, had a lot of acceleration. He looked good. The defense will definitely not have another performance like that. I have a lot of faith in DeMeco Ryans. I have a lot of faith in that defensive core. They're not going to repeat that same performance. I think Kansas City came in with an amazing game plan of just using the Niners' aggression against them, where like all the Niners defensive ends line up in wide 9 alignments where they're super wide outside the tackle. They're like in a 4-point stance. Nick Bosa, when he does that little hand up thing, that's basically like he's winding himself up to go as fast as he can towards the quarterback. And then the Chiefs will just let him run past. The Clyde Edwards-Helaire touchdown. Nick Bosa takes off 6 yards down the field, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire just runs right past him.
That was another thing, too, I would like to say. Andy Reid, absolute masterclass. Like, absolute masterclass. Andy Reid eviscerated that defense. He just literally, it's insane that they didn't make any adjustments, but he took everything that was good about Nick Bosa and like on some Aikido stuff was just like reverse. No, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just,
I think the Niners, DeMeco Ryan spit a lot of time. He's like, who do we feel really good that won't beat us? McCall Hardman. Like Chiefs Twitter hates McCall Hardman. They're over the McCall Hardman experience. And then it's like, no, we're going to use McCall Hardman this week.
The 49ers have been making the players look good that shouldn't look good for so many years. Yeah. I mean, remember who Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown against.
Well, hold on. We don't need to do that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I like Kyle Pitts, but like no one was going to
get him on track for 10 touchdowns in 10 years. People
sooner.
Forget.
I mean, Fred Warner looked terrible and he's incredible. Nick Bosa looked terrible and he's incredible. Charvarius Ward has looked incredible and he was terrible. I thought he was a double agent yesterday.
It was really bad. It was real bad. I think the play that kind of stands out is the Juju Smith-Schuster touchdown.
Which one?
Travis Kelce's running like a deep out, and Fred Warner just hauls ass trying to get under the Travis Kelce out route, and Juju Smith-Schuster just runs right where he was supposed to be, and he's wide open. I'm just like, okay, Andy Reid's got this. Like he has schemed up this entire game plan for that. He schemed up like he used the entire week. No off days, 24/7, just finding whatever the Niners, like every small little tick, it was going to be exposed for a big game.
Andy Reid is literally an older, like more mature Kyle Shanahan. Like he like Kyle just goes off of like vibes, right? Like he is that smart. He can scheme the world open. You know, the first series of the game just looks like they're the most dominant team in the NFL every single week. But like Andy Reid does that for an entire game. And he also has Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, he's got the best quarterback in the NFL. Sure. But like Kyle Shanahan is, I feel like he's going purely off talent. I think he just like, he's got this brain. Like, it's like what every like teacher told me.